Hi guys, welcome to another Davinci Resolve tutorial. This is Neil from Slice Pictures. Actually today, what I thought might be quite interesting is actually to take a look at picture styles and then how we can grade a little bit using LUTS, LUTS, as well in Davinci Resolve. So what I did today was just go out and shoot a few little things in excuse me, I got a bit of a cold still. Shoot a few things on Canon 7D. So I shot the same picture using 4 different picture styles that are pretty much the sort of standard picture styles you get with most cameras. So there's a faithful here, we can see when the computer starts to work. There's a faithful and a landscape, and here was the portrait and also the neutral. So what I thought would be really interesting was, like, everybody talks about shooting flat, so let's talk about why I shoot flat and why a lot of other people shoot flat, and let's compare the differences between these 4 picture styles as well. So let's just start off by importing all of these into our media pool. So we can just right click and import all of these. And there we go. Beautiful. And so what we've got in here, I've did another 3 different shots as well, which I shot all on neutral, so very flat, limited contrast. But let's just take a look at these images that are the same, or videos that are the same. So we can take a look at picture styles. So let's start with the neutral. Well, obviously what we can see in the neutral is there's limited color, because it's very flat in terms of its saturation and its contrast. This is a good thing because of, like, you can see the blacks a little better because the blacks are sort of a greyish shade. They're still black, but obviously they're just a bit flat in terms of saturation. And this means that you can kind of work with them a little more. Whereas if we take a look, for example, at the landscape, okay, one, it's very, very yellow, as we can see in here. And also, obviously, the tree is very, very green, and the bush is quite brown, grass here is quite brown. But like the shadows and the detail of the shadows is pretty much black, which means we don't have a lot of black that we can work with. It's kind of fixed. Whereas obviously if we take a look at our more flat shot, we've got a bit more scope to work when we come into our grading. But I thought, just so we can have a look at the differences between these 3 setups as well. So let's have a look at the faithful. A little bit similar to the landscape, probably a little less yellow, a little less contrast probably as well. But still overall not bad. And portrait is probably a little less than the faithful, I would have thought. I mean, the faithful looks a little bit more warm, yellower. The portrait looks a little less sort of yellow. So I mean, what I'm getting the impression here is basically just gets a bit yellower and a bit more contrast. But obviously you can adjust your settings yourself manually and change them if you want. But I suppose when it comes to color grading, having an image like this image here with the landscape picture style, it kind of limits what you can do with the color because it's kind of already in there. I mean, you can remove it and sort of start again effectively if that's what you wanted to do. But then, why bother doing that? Why not just shoot flat and work with it later? Well, I suppose a couple of considerations when you're thinking about picture styles and thinking about your shooting. Time scale. Do you have enough time to color grade it? If not, then maybe you're just going to shoot it as is, so what you see is what you get. Maybe do a really basic, quick color correction kind of thing in Final Cut Pro or Premiere or After Effects or whatever you're working with. Very well. Clients often do want to see something, if they're on the shoot and they might want to look at something that's being shot. Imagine showing them, your flat-looking image with no coloring, no saturation, looks kind of dull and a bit uninspiring, I suppose, to be honest. But, then you have to explain the whole post-production process. We're going to color it and go through the whole process of post-production, maybe some effects, and then we're going to put it through Davinci or we're going to grade it. So those are I guess those are the two sort of main considerations. Like, do you have enough time to color grade it? Because it can take, some time. Does your client actually just want you to shoot it in camera as is so they get it out much quicker? I'm sure there's plenty of other interesting reasons, but I mean, those are the two kind of most important ones that I've ever come across with time and people. So anyway, hopefully, and what I would recommend is, if you've got the time and nobody bugging you, shoot it flat, because shooting it flat does just give you a bit more scope when it comes to the grade, because it's going to just allow you that extra leeway of creating something that looks, personally, I think, like if you go and work with LUTS, which we'll look at in a minute, so let's just pop in there for now, let this build up. If you work with LUTS, the LUT on a flat image creates a much nicer imagery, personally, I believe, anyway. Okay. Sorry, it's a bit slow, but clearly it doesn't want to work today. Let's import all of those. There we go. Wow, beach ball is back. Alright, cool. So let's pop into our color. Okay, very nice. Cool. Okay, so let's just go to our neutral one quickly so we can have a look at it. Okay, so when I talked about LUTs, let's just add a new node, and we'll just add a quick LUT onto this. So a LUT here, it's kind of like fixed. It's predetermined in terms of its color spectrums, etc., etc. And there's some quite nice film looks in here. We've got some Fuji, some Kodak, some different color ranges. So you can just go through one of these one at a time and just sort of see what it does. This one is quite nice. I mean, they're all quite nice and they all do different things. But for example, if we just click on the Rexona 9 Fujifilm 351, 3D ID 55, and let's just see what kind of effect it creates. Okay, I mean, it gives it a kind of film-ic look, for sure, definitely, and I quite like that. It's stuff that you could still do to it, obviously, if you wanted to add a bit more contrast. Let's just switch our gang off. Maybe we'll do a 3-point contrast, so blow the highlights out a bit more, pull up the mids a bit, not too much, so we want to leave a little bit of the mids, and then pull down the blacks a fraction, maybe a bit less than that. Okay, and this is creating a nice filmic kind of style look. Maybe you could add some little warmth into your midtones, or maybe you'd want to pull it out because it looks a bit yellowish up here, so you could probably pull out a bit of blue, not too much, a little bit more. So we've got this kind of blue tint going through it as well, which is quite nice. Maybe if you wanted to do that in the whites as well, and see what kind of effect you're getting, this kind of old styled kind of bleachy effect. Actually, I quite liked it when it was a bit bluish. And I mean, color grading is all personal, it's all a preference to whatever you want it to be. But if we Command D on here, there's our original image that we took, or video that we took. And then with our LUT, the Fujifilm LUT that we applied with a little bit of extra contrast, we've created this very different looking kind of image. Although, you know, it's pretty very similar, but we see here there's a lot of detail. It's a very flat looking image. Now it has suddenly become a lot more interesting and engaging to look at. And you've blown out a lot of the details, especially here around this edging here with the trees, top of the trees. You've almost blown them out completely. You can see here there's a lot of detail in the tree here. By adding our effects, we've blown this all out quite substantially, which creates this, you know, allows this to stand out a lot more. Anyway, so you can use LUTs in those forms, which are very useful. But let's take a look at some of these other ones and just do some basics on this. So let's just add a second node. Now, I mean, the basics of what you want to do from a flat image, these are all shot on neutral, so they're all a little flat. Probably your mid-tone and your blacks. And if we take a look at our vector scopes, when it warms up, computer's being a bit slow today, sorry about that. Let's take a look at our scopes. They're going to pop up at some point in the future. No one up. Okay, so we've got a lot of black that we can pull out, which is good. So if we pull out the black more, pull this down, let's darken this off a bit. Okay, and I mean, we can clip this if we wanted to clip this area. We can clip it a bit and pull down everything else. Okay, I know it's clipped, but to be honest, that's fine. And then obviously the whites, we could probably pull the white down because they're clipping quite a lot, but not too much. Let's just see where we go with that. Go back up a little bit more. Okay, somewhere around here, that looks good. So our blacks and whites are looking alright, pretty good. And let's have a look at that, what we've got. So we've pulled a bit of contrast in the black and the whites out. So we've got some detail. Maybe we would want to possibly add a little bit of yellow, maybe, if we want to warm it up a fraction. Okay, there we go, just warming up this initial point. And then if we jump into another node, and maybe we would do, possibly let's do a basic contrast. So let's blow out the whites at the background because our focus, not too much here. And pull down a little bit on mids. Okay, something like that looks pretty nice. Look there. And let's pull out our final node here. And let's see what we came up with. Okay, so there's our original, very flat looking kind of image. Our initial grade, just to pull out the colors, blow out the background a little more. And then in here we're just gonna, possibly what we could do in this is add a LUT, just to see what happens to it. Maybe do the same one that we just used. Okay, very grungy. And so maybe we would want to pull out in the next node. So if we add another node on top of that, in here, and then maybe in here we're going to pull out or make our black a little bit brighter. And so we're going to try and make it a little grey tint going across the screen. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Maybe 7. Okay, not bad. Okay, so what we've obviously done there is quite a lot. So our original image was very flat. So if we take off all of these, here's our original, very flat looking, but holding the information, which is useful. Okay, so we came in and adjusted our blacks and whites. That's our primary balance. Then we affected our contrast here a little. And a little gamma, I think we pulled a bit of blue maybe, so we just affected the contrast a fraction. In here, we applied our LUT. Even though it says no color correction, we can put a LUT written on there. And then our final image in here, we just pulled the black, or the lift here, the lift, we just adjusted this by about 2 or 3 points just to give it a grey kind of cast. But I mean, you can see the difference if we go back to our edit window. This is our new looking file, which looks really, it looks quite film-like now in compared to the original source file. Which I will bring up the original and the graded version in on the window for you now, so you can have a look between the two of them, see which you like. And this is the great thing about Davinci and color grading in general. We can affect different things. So for example, let's take a look at this one. Again, shot with the neutral, just to see the color, because there's a lot of color in here. Des pixels. So again, what can we do with it? Well, maybe we can, let's go the other way with this one. Let's try a LUT first, and let's see how that affects us. So let's just stick with the same LUT that we're using. Okay, I mean, it's blown out things and made things a bit yellow here. In the white, it's a little bit yellow, but sorry about that, people hammering. But if we look it on and off, I mean, it's made it a lot brighter for starters, which is quite nice. People doing some DIY next door, aren't we lucky? So what we could do if we're not happy and we want a pure white, obviously go with our gain, and you can pull it down and see how much we need to adjust to create a slightly whiter white. Okay, and let's take that off and on again. Okay, a little blue maybe, maybe better. A little yellow there. Now a little more white. Okay, that's good. We like in that. So that's kind of color corrected it for us. I'm going to keep going, even though people are banging when I'm talking. How kind they are. So, and what else we can affect, obviously, is we can affect the reds, the greens, and the blues. But in terms of this, I think we won't bother. I think just the LUT and the basic kind of white correction to give it a lot of punch, which is very nice. Again, I will put up the neutral and the graded version so you can get an idea of between the two. And the last one, so we've got a few things in here. We've got the white background and the green tree in the foreground. Excuse me. Okay, so let's do our first. Here's our first node. There it is. Let's try the LUT again. Let's go with the LUT in the first place. Film look and the LUT. Okay, well, I don't particularly like that actually, to be honest. So I won't hit a LUT on this occasion. So I will just create a contrast. I will do myself a little contrast. Let's pull out those. Let's give it an S. Let's drop in here. Maybe we're going to warm up the mid-tone a little bit with yellow. A fraction, there we go. Okay. Let's take our next LUT. I mean, these are all very ordinary, what you want to achieve, you know. Let's go with this one, see what that's like. Oh wow, really blown out and heavily contrasted. I mean, this is a good thing, is you can find something, if you don't like it, then just, you know, undo it and go back. I mean, I think in this case, maybe we'll just possibly pull out a little more contrast. But we want to hold a bit of the black in there and wash out the whites a bit more, just to create an effect that we're looking at. And just to see, so you can actually see what's happening between this original neutral and the color graded version. So there we go, really. So there's 3 files that we've sort of played with, and a 4th-ish we played with. And we had a look at the LUTs, mostly the film look, and the Fuji we used. But hopefully this just gives you kind of an idea of why do you want to use grading, and why do you want to shoot flat. I mean, it's completely up to yourself. It's a personal preference. You don't have to shoot flat, but if you know, and you might have the reasons why you don't want to shoot flat, but it's really worth it in the longer term with your work to have it shot as flat, because then you can just do a lot more with it and play with it more when it comes to, especially comes to your coloring and your grading. And it's just fun to play around and see what you can create, and these different looks that you want to achieve, how you want to achieve them, what, you know, what's the need for it, what kind of film you're making, or documentary, or music video, you know, and then you can work on creating your own visual styles. So anyway, starting to talk on and on and on. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this and got to have a look at how to use some LUTs within your workflow, and how you can actually use them in different areas of your workflow. As we saw on here, I put the LUT in the first shot here. This was where the LUT was placed, and worked the other way. And where in this case I put the LUT on the 4th node. So this is the flexibility of Davinci as well, in that, you know, you can do some work on your coloring, your grading before you apply a LUT, and then still pull it back if it's too much, or vice versa. You know, you can go in, put a LUT on, oh yeah, I don't like this because of that, and then again work on it some more. So this is a really great thing about Davinci. Anyway, I will put up those 3 examples at the end here, so you can just have a look at them again. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want any questions, or you would like any specific kind of looks the tutorial for, then just give me a shout, drop some notes in or comments in the box below, and I will be back shortly with some more tutorials. Okay, have a good one.